that you can. Call me when you want, call me when you need. Call me in the morning, I'll be on the way. Call me when you want, call me when you need. Call me out by your name, I'll be on the way. Like,
well, hello everybody and welcome to my show. My name is Jason DaCosta. This is Consistent Preterism. Thank you for joining me today. Today we are going to just do a little bit of a rant, a little tiny rant, because I started to think about how the traditional Christian slogan or statement or motto, if you please, is that God never changes, right? He's the same today, yesterday, and always, right? Yesterday, today, and forever, I believe is how they say it. And it's a bit ironic if you think about it because, well, the God of this Bible, the same God that these folks would claim never changes and is the same yesterday, today, and forever, well, the God of this Bible actually is incredibly concerned with genealogy. He's incredibly concerned with descendants and sons and their sons and their sons, but he's incredibly concerned with genealogy. And I just think that people aren't realizing that factoid when they're reading the Old Testament. For example, in the very first pages of the book, after we get through the symbolic story of Adam and Eve, the talking snake, his eyes literally sewn shut, naked, walking around with his twig and berries hanging out in the Garden of Eden with God walking by his side. After we get through that symbolic tale of, Adam and Eve in the garden, in Genesis chapter 5, we immediately are taken into genealogies. It says, this is the book of the genealogy of Adam. And then it goes on to say, after this, Seth lived 105 years. After that, he begot Enosh. Enosh begot Canaan. Canaan had 5 sons. Canaan, begot Mahalalel. Mahalalel begot Jared. Jared begot Enoch. Enoch begot Methuselah, and so on and so forth. And this is really all throughout the pages of Genesis. It's just genealogy after genealogy, right? Let's jump forward here. Bear with me one momento. It's all throughout the pages of Genesis. It's all throughout the pages of the Old Testament. Deuteronomy. I mean, you can see the focus that this God of the story, puts on genealogies and descendants. And so when you come to the New Testament last days, who, we'd argue that this is the same God in focus, right? Of course, they're referring to all these Old Testament promises. It must be. Well, suddenly people now change that God's viewpoint on genealogy. And they say, oh no, now he doesn't care about genealogy. He just cares about faith, right? Spiritual descendants is what's happening now. So it went from a heavy focus to a heavy focus on genealogies to the point where, some books in the Bible are just page after page after page of just this guy begot this guy, and this guy begot that guy, and this guy begot that guy, and that guy begot that guy, and that guy begot that guy. And I mean, page after page after page after page, so much so that you don't even read them because it's just boring and repetitive. But we're told that has changed, and now that's no longer important, or that's no longer important to the God of the New Testament. And now that God of the New Testament, who supposedly never changes, is the same today, yesterday, and tomorrow. Now he's not so much concerned with those same genealogies. He's really just concerned with spiritual descendants, right? You see how there's a big problem there? And it's even further enhanced when we start to actually look at what's said in the New Testament and how descendant-focused it is, right? I mean, occasionally the word seed is used to kind of throw people off. Like, for instance, Galatians 3, if you are Christ, then you're Abraham's seed and an heir according to promise. All that's saying is, if you're Christ, then you're a descendant of Abraham, and you're an heir. That's it. Plain and simple, you're a descendant of Abraham. You came from his loins. Remember, the promise to Abraham was that one would come from his body, that he would have a child, and that his descendants would become as numerous as the sand in the sea. So it's always about descendants. It always has been about descendants. When we come to the New Testament times, it's still about the descendants. Just look at Galatians, I think it might even be 4, Galatians 3 or 4 in another place. Paul says, and because you are sons, God sent forth his Spirit into you, crying out, Abba, Father. Notice that they're sons even before God sent forth the Spirit into them. And that again proves my point that these are descendants of Abraham, because this God does not change. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And he's very much concerned with these genealogical, if that's even a word, promises. So God was very much concerned with genealogy. In fact, the promise, the same promise that people think that they're inheriting today, actually came through Abraham, then through Isaac, and then through Jacob, and ultimately landed smack dab on the 12 tribes of Israel, who are the entire focus of the story, actually. And then I think of things just kind of on the fly, like Paul, I think, in the New Testament, telling them not to be concerned or, not to get caught up in endless genealogies. It clearly was very important to these Israelites, the whole genealogical record. I mean, just do a little research on that, and you'll see how important it was. You'll see how coveted that was, and how crucial it was to keep those records. And so Paul in the New Testament, dealing with a audience of Israelites that is dispersed and scattered and had taken on so many different cultural identities, Jew, Greek, slave, free. Paul is basically saying, forget about the endless genealogies. God is taking care of this. In other words, God is sending forth his Spirit. God is fishing out men from among the nations. God is calling you out and marking you with the seal of the Holy Spirit, which was said to be only for the tribes of Israel. So, with all that said, I just want people to consider that, is God really the same yesterday, today, and forever? Is the God of the Bible, that Old Testament, right? You got to go to the Old before you can understand the New. Is that God in the Old Testament really the same yesterday, today, and forever? Because according to the traditional Christian viewpoint, that God changed and did a complete 180 and started going the other direction, right? He said the promise was going to be through the descendants. He said it was going to come through Isaac and Jacob. All throughout the Old Testament, we have a heavy focus on genealogies and who begot who and where certain ones came from in the genealogical record. And now, in the supposed new Christian world, we have a God that allows people to become descendants by faith. So you're a spiritual descendant. And I mean, when you just stop and think about that, it's pretty wackadoodle, right? It doesn't make a shred of sense. A spiritual descendant. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of rant a little bit about the genealogy thing. And get people to realize that if you open up the Bible, the Old Testament, especially the beginning of the Old Testament, the first, 5 books, and especially Chronicles. I mean, have you seen Chronicles? Have you read the book of Chronicles? Go take a look. You're going to see a lot of genealogical records being mentioned and listed and, nauseatingly repetitive stuff. And I think that's also another very, very strong proof that Israel only and the salvation of the elect ones in the New Testament was Israel exclusive. Because, again, it's really physical descendant heavy, folks. I hope you all enjoyed it. Everybody, I hope you have a great New Year's. Happy New Year's. I hope it's a better one. I hope we get through all the stuff and this world starts getting better and we can get back to some sense of normalcy. But yeah, Happy New Year to everybody. If you liked it, give it a like-a-rooski. If not, take a hike-a-rooski, and we'll catch you on that flip side. Actually, we'll catch you in the new year. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.